Tommy Robinson has been jailed at Woolwich Crown Court for 18 months after admitting contempt of court.
I mean, he's effectively been jailed for repeating false allegations he made over the past 2 years that were in breach of a court injunction. For 2 years he didn't, and then he started repeating them in online interviews and in a film. He made a 90-minute film that was shown a number of times.
The Labour government is preparing fresh contempt charges against Tommy Robinson that could lock him up for 2 more years without a jury trial, all for refusing to take down a film that's been viewed 166 million times. Think about that. In Keir Starmer's Britain, a documentary filmmaker faces prison while he simultaneously claims to champion free speech on the world stage. This isn't just about Tommy Robinson anymore. It's about whether any of us have the right to expose uncomfortable truths. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favour. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video. What we're witnessing with Tommy Robinson isn't just a legal case. It's a warning shot across the bow to anyone who dares question the British establishment. Let that sink in. The Labour government's approach here reveals something far more sinister than a simple prosecution. Robinson's documentary Silence has struck a nerve that's clearly painful for those in power.
He believes the public has the right to have all the truth, not just what's provided by the mainstream media. He was following his principles. He passionately believes in free speech, he said, freedom of the press, and his overwhelming desire is to expose the truth. The judge said that the breaches were not accidental, negligent, or merely reckless. They were deliberate, direct, and flagrant.
With 166 million viewers and counting, the film has done what mainstream media wouldn't. Exposed uncomfortable realities about corruption at the highest levels. This isn't speculation. It's precisely why we're seeing such an aggressive response from authorities. The news from Robinson's legal team is chilling. They've confirmed the Labour Attorney General is actively preparing fresh contempt charges that could sentence him to an additional 2 years behind bars. And here's the kicker: no jury trial. Just think about that for a moment. A filmmaker facing years in prison without the fundamental right to have his case heard by a jury of his peers. All for refusing to remove a documentary from social media. This isn't normal legal procedure, it's what experts call lawfare, the systematic abuse of civil law to crush political opponents.
This is a message to each of you who are thinking about the 26th of October. Maybe you're worried, maybe you're scared. Maybe you think you might lose your job, maybe you think you might get put in prison. Let's send a message to the world, to Keir Starmer especially, that the fight is not gone, okay? Not in us anyway. I am travelling back to the UK for literally the fight of my life. Men right now are fighting for their lives in prison, who have been falsely imprisoned, unlawfully imprisoned, pressured and forced and blackmailed to plead guilty to crimes they haven't committed. All of this will come up in our documentary, which will premiere on the 26th of October.
And silence those who speak out. It's a sophisticated form of intimidation that bypasses criminal proceedings with their pesky requirements for evidence beyond reasonable doubt and jury trials. Instead, they're using civil injunctions that can still result in imprisonment, but without the same protections afforded to those accused of actual crimes. The timing here is impossible to ignore. Robinson releases Silence, the film spreads like wildfire, reaching millions, and suddenly he's facing new legal threats. This isn't coincidence, it's cause and effect. The government isn't concerned about public safety, they're concerned about public perception. What Robinson revealed in his documentary poses a threat not to citizens but to those who prefer their actions remain in the shadows. Consider the stark double standard at play. In Britain today, you can commit violent offences and often walk away with minimal consequences, yet Robinson faces additional prison time essentially.
For me, behind bars, the way I was treated, I was taken to a prison with quite a low Muslim population. What I'm known for is criticising Islam, so there's been many planned attempts to murder me and kill me in this country. Not seeing or speaking to anybody, and they used the reason that I was in danger. Now, they would have had risk assessments before I went there. I was purposely taken to be put in danger so that then that reason can be used to then put me on solitary confinement. And it took months before I got the opportunity to go before a judge. Once the judge heard what had happened in the trial, we found so many illegal and wrongdoings within this kangaroo court.
For the crime of documentary filmmaking. This selective application of justice should concern everyone, regardless of your political persuasion or personal opinion of Robinson himself. The hypocrisy extends to the very top. Keir Starmer has repeatedly portrayed himself as a champion of free expression. Just recently, he claimed that Britain respects and protects free speech, fine words that ring hollow when measured against his government's actions. The reality is a country where journalists face jail for exposing state secrets, and whistleblowers are systematically silenced through legal intimidation. What's particularly telling is how quickly the government has escalated its attacks. They're not just trying to punish Robinson, they're determined to make an example of him. The message is crystal clear: expose corruption at your peril. This accelerated campaign against him suggests a desperation to control the narrative, to grind him down through endless cycles of incarceration.
Tommy Robinson has been jailed at Woolwich Crown Court for 18 months after admitting contempt of court.
I mean, he's effectively been jailed for repeating false allegations he made over...
Men right now are fighting for their lives in prison, who have been falsely imprisoned, unlawfully imprisoned, pressured and forced and blackmailed to plead guilty to crimes they haven't committed. All of this will come up in our documentary, which will premiere on the 26th of October.
And legal harassment, until he either gives up or others are too frightened to follow his lead. The most damning indictment of all is that the government isn't disputing the factual accuracy of silence. They're not claiming it's false or misleading. Instead, they're simply demanding it be removed from public view. This reveals the true danger of Robinson's work. Not that it spreads falsehoods, but that it exposes truths powerful figures desperately want hidden from the British public. When governments fear films more than they fear violent criminals, we should all be paying attention. What's happening to Robinson today could happen to any journalist, filmmaker, or citizen journalist tomorrow. The precedent being set.
Not seeing or speaking to anybody, and they used the reason that I was in danger. Now, they would have had risk assessments before I went there. I was purposely taken to be put in danger so that then that reason can be used to then put me on solitary confinement. And it took months before I got the opportunity to go before a judge. Once the judge heard what had happened in the trial, we found so many illegal and wrongdoings within this kangaroo court.
Freedom of the press, and his overwhelming desire is to expose the truth. The judge said that the breaches were not accidental, negligent, or merely reckless. They were deliberate, direct, and flagrant.
Is that exposing corruption is a more serious offence than committing actual violence against fellow citizens. Make no mistake, we're witnessing a watershed moment for British liberty. Robinson's case isn't isolated, it's the canary in the coal mine. If the government succeeds in silencing him today, who will they target tomorrow? This precedent threatens every citizen who dares question authority. As Robinson's team emphasises, if the government can silence one individual for speaking the truth and imprison a journalist for exposing corruption, then the rights of all citizens are at risk. Stay vigilant and informed as this saga unfolds. Remember that those in power fear nothing more than an informed public. The most dangerous truths aren't wild conspiracies. They are the documented realities that expose the powerful.